Hello, and welcome to Let's Be Real About It, where we are real about real life issues. I am your host, Mildred Towns. Our disclaimer is that this is a no holds barred zone. Therefore, some of the contents of the show may be offensive to some, but that is not the intent of the show. Before I introduce to you my guest, I want to bring my book forth. And it's called Truth, My Closet Secrets Revealed. It's my life story. I want to spare you, especially these young girls out here. I want to spare you heartache and pain and all this that I went through so that you don't have to go through it. I want you to get my book. I want you to read my book. And also, A Cry from the Womb. This is a brochure. If you're in between, I want to get an abortion and I don't want to get an abortion, please order this brochure so you can read it before you make that final decision. I can guarantee you that it's going to change your mind in getting an abortion. Also, I want to thank our sponsors who have been a help to Let's Be Real About It, and also J&K Style Grill.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Kev on stage. We here at J&K Style and Grill with my main man.
J&K Style Grill, home of the original waffle burger, stuffed wings, and Philly steak egg roll.
The food was amazing, man. I'm talking about collard green stuffed chicken, mac and cheese stuffed chicken, waffle burger with the special sauce.
With the special sauce.
Come on, man. What are you doing if you ain't eating here? You're wasting your life.
Pull up.
J&K Style Grill, you can copy the style.
But never the best.
We got it.
We got it.
Anytime you're in the Virginia Beach area, please stop by J&K Style Grill. Well, we're commissioned to pray every morning at 7:30. Join us for prayer at 7:30 every morning. The number to call in is 605-313-5885. That's 605-313-5885. And the code is 881878. Again, that's 605-313-5885, and the code is 881878. And if Let's Be Real About It has been a blessing to you, please consider sending a love gift to $ Mildred Towns. That's $ Mildred Towns. Well, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest to you. Guys, she's back for part 2, Marilyn Jones. And the title of the show is Victory in the Storm. So we're into part 2. If you didn't see part 1, please go back and watch part 1. Marilyn, welcome to the show. Welcome to Let's Be Real About It.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me back. It's a pleasure to be able to come on, Mildred, and just tell my story to help somebody. I just want to help somebody, get the word out. You're not in this alone. You do have help. God is with you. God will keep you. He will sustain you. I just want to get the word out. If I can just help somebody, you're not in this alone. A lot of us think we're alone when we're going through stuff, but you're not alone. There are many people that are going through what we've been through, and we just want to help them. We want them to know that there is help available. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to go through that. You can start over again. I started over again after 23 years. I started over again. I didn't think I could do it without that person because most of my adult life I spent with that individual. That was my life, that person and my children. But life happens and things happen in life, but I'm grateful to say that I'm no longer in that place today.
Amen. Amen. So go ahead and introduce yourself. You almost introduced yourself, so just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Got pretty excited there for a minute. Yeah, my name's Marilyn Jones. I'm an evangelist, and I'm about doing the will of my Father. And I'm just here to be an advocate for the women. God has given me a mission for women. I've been through so much in my life. I'm the mother of 4 biological children, 3 bonus children. I have a wonderful husband who I have now been married to for 20 years. We just celebrated 20 years yesterday. And, there is life after life. There is life, so I'm grateful for that. My story, I got a long story. I got a lot to tell. Been through a whole lot, but I'm still here.
Amen. Amen. So we left off in part one with your husband. He isolated you from your family, and you didn't talk about the physical and the mental abuse to your family. Um, how long would you say that you was in isolation, and when did you come to the point of saying enough is enough?
Well, I got married at the age of 20. I was married for 23 years. So I went through a lot of abuse. The first year was pretty good. First year was pretty good. Then there was some meltdowns, and I was getting accused of certain things, and then eventually it went to physical abuse. I was getting hit, punched in the head. I mean, accused of doing things I didn't do. I did. I went through a lot of that, and my go-to was my children. I love my babies. I had 4 children, and they were like 2 years apart. The first three were 2 years apart, pretty much, and the last one there was 4 years. The last one I didn't want to have another child, because I went through so much. But I had my child, and I loved my child. 2 boys and 2 girls. They were my life. So I stayed in there. I kept it together for my children, and I thought I was doing the right thing, but the abuse got worse and worse and worse. And then eventually I had to go to work, and, because somebody had to take care of the kids. Somebody had to take care of the kids, physically, I mean, financially, he took care of the kids, when they were there pretty much. But I had to go to work and, provide. There was inconsistency in the work patterns with that person. So I had to go to work and have a stable job, to bring in income to support my children, have insurance for my children. You know, um, we moved from pillar to post because bills halfway got paid, and I only made so much money, so I did what I could. But in the process of all that, I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. Didn't tell. I buried myself in church. I buried myself in church. Outside of home, I was at church. You know, and that's good and fine, but you gotta have a balance. You gotta have a balance. I loved my children, but I buried myself in church, and I didn't. My pastor didn't know. I didn't tell my pastor. People in the church didn't know because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't talk to my sisters, and they often ask me now, why didn't you tell somebody? I was embarrassed. I was ashamed, and I didn't want to. I didn't want my children to not have a father. I knew what it felt like to not have a father in the home, and I didn't want that for my children. I didn't get married for my children to be without a father. That's why I got married. I had other options to be with God. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be married, and I wanted to have a family. I wanted better for my children. So I stayed. I took the abuse. I kept praying and hoping it would get better. It got worse. And when I turned 40, I had been in it, oh my goodness, for 20 years at that point, you know. Um, and the light bulb came on in my head, after you're told over and over again that, you're never going to be anything. I hate to see you when you turn 50. And because I was depressed, I'd go to work. After I go through all these changes to get my kids up for school because there was no disciplinarian outside of me. So they stayed up late and whatever else, and I stayed on them about homework. But I had to work, so I had to go to bed. And, I'd get up and I'd have to go to work, trying to get to work. And oh boy, it was horrible. Trying to get to work was a big thing. If the car was broke down, I was on my own trying to find a way to work. It was that bad. And then when I come home, my kids, it was like I was the outsider in my own house. I was the outsider, you know. So I mean, a lot of days I make sure there was dinner, and then I'd go in my room, and I'd be in my room or doing whatever. So, but this happened on and off for a long time, and periodically I'd go see my family, but I didn't tell my family anything. My sisters, I didn't tell them anything. They kind of suspected some things, but they were my sisters. They just loved me or whatever. But when I turned 40, the light bulb came on in my head that Um, you don't have to do this. You're taking care of yourself already. I'm thinking, what am I going to do if we split up if he leaves? But not realizing I was the person that was working in the first place. I mean, but when you beat down, when you're told you'll never be anything, you can't make it without me. When you're told that over and over, you start believing it. You start believing it. And even though I was doing things on my own, working and providing and all of that stuff, even through the marriage, I went to business school, business college, and all of that stuff. So I had things behind me that I could do, but I didn't think within myself, my self-esteem was so low, I didn't think I could make it on my own. And with 4 children, how am I going to make it with 4 children? So I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. But after 40, I'm like, no more abuse. You will not hit me anymore. I stood up to that person. I said, you will not, I'm not taking it anymore, you know. And so when I realized that, and when I put that message out, things changed somewhat. But it still was a process of, me working and trying to take care of my children. And then later, the abuse of my daughter, when that came out, that was the straw that broke the camel's
Well,
back.
let's talk about that. Your oldest daughter went through a traumatic experience. Uh, so talk about, when did you find out that uh, your ex-husband, not your husband, your ex-husband was molesting his daughter, her father was molesting her, and what were your reaction? Because this is a real life issue. This isn't something just happened in your house. We had another guest that came on, Patricia. This happened in her household, because just as with you, uh, she was out of the house, she suffered from mental abuse, and she just jumped out of a window. She was in and out of the mental institutions, and her daughter was left in the house too, just like with your daughter. So it's like a cycle, or it's like I can't really say a cycle, but it's like this spirit thing, you know, to where fathers mess with their daughters and it's supposed to be okay. So talk about what it was like for you when you found out what was going on with your daughter, and also talk about what was the sign that you may have seen with her to even question what was happening.
Well, first of all, my children were very close to their father. All of them, they were very close to their father. They didn't have a lot of outside interaction outside of my sisters. We'd go to their house, and every blue moon, maybe they didn't spend the night much either. They spent the night a little bit, and he was I would say not just protective. He didn't want the kids to be involved with a whole lot of people. So he kind of isolated all of us. They went to school, whatever. They might have went here and there for a minute, but they were back home. And see, by me working and I was busy working and trying to provide. I mean, we stayed in stressful situations. The lights got cut off, the gas got cut off. So I was always in stuff trying to make stuff, come together. It's like boom, 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 one thing after another. We went through so much stuff. I was just, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have made it. My mind, I was just mentally, I was physically abused and I was mentally tired, just trying to handle everything and whatever else. So, it was a lot on me. But when I found out about my daughter, we were displaced. We didn't have our own home. We had lost our place. We had gotten a manufactured home, and I took money out of my 401k from my job and got this manufactured home. And within 6 months, we lost it. Mildred, we lost it. I
Mm.
furnished the home. We had been from place to place, and I'm like, we finally have a home. We finally have something to call our own. But within 6 months, we lost it. We lost it because one of my sons had gone off to college and, things were done and I didn't know about it. So we're trying to send money. And me being the primary breadwinner, I only had so much money, I had to pay my mortgage payment, and whatever else. So we ended up losing it because we got too far behind, and I mean, that almost devastated me right there because I took money out of my 401k to
Yeah.
get that place. And, we were one particular day, I was on my lunch break, and, me and my ex-husband, we were separated. I was living one place, he was living another. And, me, I'm trying to get my family back together. And so we were going to meet up at a hotel. We were going to spend the weekend at an extended stay. And so I come on my lunch break to get my daughters, and my daughter said to me, I don't want to go. She kept saying, I don't want to go. So I'm taking them at lunchtime. And then I was going to come after work. She said, I don't want to come. I don't want to go with dad. I don't want to go. And I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I said, is somebody doing something to you or something? And then she came out with it. And I was, Mildred, I was just, I can't even explain the feeling that I had. I felt like my head was going to blow off my body, literally blow off my body. I'm trying to figure now, I'm supposed to be back at work in a few times. I only got an hour for lunch. I got to be back at work, and I'm trying to figure, how am I going to do this? And then, I just overwhelmed. I mean, everything just came over me. My baby, my daughter, and all this stuff, just kept going through my head. So finally, I had to call my boss because I couldn't go back to work. I called my boss, and my boss was most understanding. And she said to me, "You need to go to the Haven. Take your daughters and go to the Haven." And I didn't know anything about no Haven or whatever else, but there was a call made, and I went to the Haven. But in the process, that person he got wind of something because we didn't show up. He didn't show up at the hotel. He was waiting for us, and we didn't show up. So, it's like he got a sixth sense or something, and he was calling and trying to figure out where we were. And, at that point, I didn't want to talk to him. It's like, all kinds of feelings went through me. I'm going to kill him. All kinds of stuff. I was just trying to get me and my daughters to safety. The daughter that was abused and my younger daughter, trying to get. So we ended up in the Haven. We went there, and we were in the Haven until we went through, you know, all of the screenings or whatnot and the court stuff. We went through a lot of stuff, and the courts got involved. And then I called a friend of ours, and so.
So when you found out about this, you contacted Protective Service, and what happened with that?
They I mean, I was in the Haven, so I was in a protected place. There was not a lot of contact with the outside. I was there, and then they set it up for me to have an attorney to go through all the court proceedings and whatnot. Well, we ended up having to go through this terrible, horrible court ordeal. My daughter had to get on the stand and testify about what happened to her. And the judge said that if, her father admitted his guilt, she wouldn't have to go through this horrible ordeal. But he would not admit his guilt. So we had to go through this horrible ordeal, sit in the courtroom with this person, and just, it was horrible, horrible. And so we went through all of that, and from there, he eventually went to prison. But before he went to prison, he was put on probation, and he couldn't even abide by the rules, on probation. And it was just crazy. And the attorney he had, it was so bad. The attorney wanted to get off the case. The attorney begged the judge. It's in the transcripts. The attorney begged the judge to get off the case. But the judge would not let him off because he was, court appointed to represent that person. That's how bad it was. And that person admitted their guilt, and then they switched the script and went back and, tried to manipulate that attorney. And it was quite an ordeal. It was quite an ordeal.
Man, I can only imagine in my mind, because our home life was toxic, but my dad never put his hand on us sexually like that. So I can only imagine with her young mind having the traumatic experience of her dad doing this to her, where and then having to relive it, in the court,
Yes.
what it did to her, mentally. So now your daughter is 38 years old and married, and you
Yes.
don't even know where she's at.
I haven't seen my
So it's
daughter.
like she's in an isolated place.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in 2 years. I don't know where she's at. There's no contact with the family. She's, she's not able to have children. She was, her body messed up. She's not able to have children. And she's excellent with children. Worked in daycares. I mean, children, they're drawn to her like a magnet. But can you imagine not being able to have your own child? And, there was some conflicts in the family with the siblings or whatnot. And, the sperm donor, I'm going to say, eventually got out of prison and was still trying to contact and, putting in false information in the heads of the other siblings and, all kinds of crazy stuff. And not only that, the stuff that I've been going through for these years, all these years, just trying to keep my head on straight. Thank God for a wonderful husband who's there for me, there with me through the ordeal, um, trying to help make sure my daughters are okay. The one that was sexually abused and the other daughter. Everybody's been affected by this craziness. Everybody. And so I'm just trying to have some sanity for my children, because it affects everybody. It
Mhm.
affects the whole family, and then there was a wedge put between the kids and there was lies told that my daughter, she came on to him and just a lot of crazy stuff. And if you know anything about abuse or sexual abuse, the abuser, they tell you all kind of stuff. A knife was put to her throat as she got older, to make her do things. And she was told that she would destroy her family and that person would kill her, kill me, and the whole family would be destroyed because of her. So for the longest time, that's why she didn't tell. She was in fear of her life and my life, But she's gone into isolation now because it's too much, all of the chaos and him trying to find her and you know, so
I can I I can only imagine, what it's like for you, not knowing where your daughter is at, not knowing that she's in an abusive. From my standpoint, I would wonder: is she in an abusive relationship? Is she being treated okay? Has anything happened to her? You know, not knowing the traumatic experience that she's been through and how it affects a person, and not hearing from her in 2 years. I can only imagine what you may be going through.
I mean it's very. I tell you, I've had a lot of nights crying, just laying on the pillow. Lord, where's my child at? And you know what it's like when you have a child. I mean,
Mhm.
that connection to your child, even after they grow, it doesn't stop. They're in your they're on your lap, when they're children, but when they grow up, they're on your heart. And so, from a mother's standpoint, I mean, I don't know where my child is. I don't know if she's alive. I don't,
Mhm.
like you said, I don't know if she's in an abusive relationship. She's married, but I don't know, because men isolate you. I don't understand why that man wouldn't bring her back to her family. She's not in contact with any of her family, any of us. None of us know where she's at. So how can I protect? I didn't protect her then, because I didn't know. I mean, but I mean, all of these thoughts are going through my head. Where's my child at? You know, and so, I'm just praying and hoping and praying that one day she'll call me and, tell me, Mom, I just want to hug my child. I just want to love on her,
Yes.
and be there for her. If she needs to come home, whatever she needs to do, she's always got a home with me. She always has a home. This is home. Kids grow up and, sometimes when they're females, you get on each other's nerves or whatever. That's my child. I bore that child. So, there's a part of me that's, you know, I'm like, I need to know where she is. I need to hear from her. So every day I'm waiting for a phone call. Every day I'm waiting to hear something, you know.
Marilyn, what's her name? You know,
Her name is
put a
Jessica.
name out there. Somebody may know her.
Her name is Jessica Morris. And I haven't told my story, but I'm like, I need to put it out because I need to know her name is Jessica Morris. Jessica Morris. She's a beautiful young lady.
Where was she last known to be?
It was she was in Rochester, living in Rochester, Michigan at one time. And then she went and visited in California. I don't know which part of California. They went and visited during COVID, her and her husband. He's, in the entertainment stuff. She's a singer. So, and then she's a cosmetologist, but she used to sing. She sang country and jazz and all kind of music. She's a beautiful boy, beautiful young lady. She sang gospel. But I don't know. It was last known that she may be in California, you know. So
Have you contacted the authorities or anything to try to locate her?
no, I haven't. No, no.
Okay.
I know she willingly just went on her own. We were having contact. And then there was some friction between a couple of the siblings. And so rather than going through all this stuff, she just, decided, I don't want to be part of this. So, and then the father's in the background. She's still in the background, you know.
So what would be your message in 1 minute? What would be your message to um what would be your message to that child and to that mother of that child that's being uh molested by their dad, incest, molested by their dad?
I
What
was
would your message be
My
to them?
message, first of all, would be to the child, to tell your mother. If you can't talk to your mother, talk to your auntie, talk to your cousin, talk to the teacher, talk to the preacher, talk to somebody. Let somebody know what's going on with you. There are people that care. There are other people that have been through it. There's no shame in telling what's going on. There's no guilt in telling what's going on. You have to tell your story, even to the mother. Some mothers know about it. I didn't know, but some know about it, and they're too shameful to tell anybody that you do not put a man above your child. For every woman, you just got to have a man. No, you don't just have to have a man. Do not close your eyes on the abuse. If something is going on in your house, if someone is abusing your children, whether it's the biological, if it's the stepfather, if it's the boyfriend, nobody is that important to abuse your child. And I would say to any woman, stand up for your child. I know women that have they've experienced it, and they close their eyes like nothing happened, and they allowed it to continue. No, do not allow, because it's gonna affect your child. Your child has to grow up. My daughter is not able to have a baby, so that hurts me. I can't have grandchildren. Her husband, he has children from previous relationships, but she's not able to bear her own child. That's not fair. Her childhood was destroyed because of a selfish man. And even if and the story has been that she came under her father. That's hogwash. I mean, a child, and talking about a grown man, a man that's fully capable of taking care of himself, the same man that beat me, and you're going to say that your daughter came unto you. Even if she did, just say, even if she did, you're the adult in the situation. That wasn't the case, but any man that allows a child to do that to them, or to cause them to go into that's a bunch of hogwash. So I say to you, speak out. Don't keep silent. Get out of that relationship. There is life after that. You don't have to live that way. Somebody will take you in. There is help available. There are agencies that will help you. There are places you can go to be in safekeeping. You can get out of harm's way. You can live again, and you can live a better life. And I'm grateful that after being married for the second time, 20 years, I have the best husband in the world. God blessed me with a great husband, and he's been there with me through all of it. It's not been easy. we've been doing a lot of stuff here, but God has been good to us. So I'm just saying to every woman, don't let your self-esteem be so low that you can't come up out of that. You can come out of that. That child that's been abused, you can get through this. There's counseling needed. There are other resources available. There are people here that will be there. And if you need to talk to me, anybody, if you need to talk to me, all you
Give
got to
your
do is
number.
my
Give your
phone
number.
number is 248-904-3800. My email address is Marilyn, Marilyn D59 at yahoo.com. So you can reach me. I'm on Facebook.
Go ahead.
I'm on Facebook, Marilyn Jones. Marilyn Jones on Facebook. You can messenger me. You can inbox me. I'll be happy to talk to you.
And also give your daughter name one more time, just in case somebody may have come across her, may know her, that they can call her mom, to give her the message to call her mom. Hey, Drusilla and the other guy that came on, thank you for watching.
Her name is Jessica Morris. Jessica Morris is her name. Jessica Morris.
Thank you so much, Marilyn, for coming on, being a part of the show. We pray that God will find your daughter and your daughter will contact you. Special thanks to everybody who's watching the show. If the show been a blessing to you, please consider sending an offering to $ Mildred Towns. And until next week, may God bless you and keep you on Mildred Towns. Thank you.